In this video I would like to tell you what are the essential tools to start sewing. Let's dive in! The first thing on our list is not a tool, but it's something that is really essential for our sewing project, and that's the fabric. So when you have a project in mind, you definitely want to research what kind of fabric you want to use and secure that. Now that you know what you want to do and you have your fabric secured, you probably have a pattern that you will lay onto the fabric, and then you need some tool that you will outline it with. So for that is recommended tailor chalk. I'm not much of tailor chalk person. I really haven't figured out yet how to use this tool in an efficient way, because I always feel like I struggle a lot more than I should. So I always end up using a pencil or a pen, depends of what my project is and what I have at the hand. So I leave this one up to you. I mean, I definitely recommend you try it. It's something that you can wash away and it disappears. I do have similar experience with the pencil. It's a bit worse with the pen, so yeah. If you have a pattern but you don't know what size to choose, or you want to freestyle your pattern based on your measurements, you will need a measuring tape. Once we have transferred the pattern or no pattern onto the fabric, we will need to cut it out, and for that you should use a fabric scissors. Do not use a paper scissors or kitchen scissors or any other scissors. Please buy a fabric scissors. It will make your life easier, believe me. Do not struggle. You are not supposed to struggle. You're supposed to enjoy the process. So yes. Once you cut out your pieces of fabric, you most likely will need to connect them together before you sew them. So you definitely need some pins to do that, but I prefer the clips. They are just so much easier to use. Once I bought these ones, I never went back to pins unless they are really necessary for like pinning some specific things in the middle of the fabric, which these guys cannot do. But I 100% recommend. They will not damage your fabric and they'll keep the pieces in the place. Now that we pin things together or connected the pieces together, it's time to sew. You definitely want to sew with a sewing machine. A sewing machine is not a cheap thing to get, but you can get quite basic ones for less money. And honestly, you don't need more for the beginning. If you're just trying to figure out if it's something for you, or you want to do some not hardcore beginner stuff, it will do great. For me, I have not upgraded my sewing machine. I've been still sewing on this one and it's efficient. There's more things that you need to your sewing machine. So if we are talking about sewing, we definitely need some thread. I will put this away. I use a lot of black, so I got this huge one. But what I recommend to get at the beginning is a set. Just buy a set like this. I bought this one from Lidl. It was not that expensive. And you can tell that I've been using some of them pretty lot. So that's definitely something you will need, and it will come in handy for different projects, because then you don't have to hunt individual colors. You have a set of them and it's just easier. Another thing would be needles for the machine, because they break. You might not intend to break them, but they do break. So that is definitely something I would recommend getting as well. Have some spare ones, and the best would be to have different kinds. For example, this package used to have, now you can see it's very limited, but I used to have universal needle, stretch needle, and needle for jeans. Last thing that you need for your sewing machine, not for the sewing process, is the bobbin. I have bobbins already in my set, what makes it very nice and handy. But if you do not have a set with the bobbins, you definitely need to buy some of these little guys. They usually come in without the thread. If you buy them on their own, then you can learn in next videos how to wind the bobbin. So I will show you, don't worry. But that is something that you definitely need, because that goes for the bottom thread. Now that we stitch our pieces together, we should iron the seams. it just makes them much more crisp. Things just fall better in the place, and it will improve your piece immensely. And for that, you basically need iron. I bought this one from Lidl again. I really do like buying stuff from Lidl when there is a sewing week. And you also need ironing board. I got this ironing board from IKEA. It's small and very handy. I live in a small apartment, so I can't really have big things. The last things that you will need for your sewing journey is this little boy called Seam Ripper, because you will need to seam rip things. Whether you want to thrift some clothes, it's a great tool to take things apart, or when you make a mistake. And believe me, you will make mistakes on your journey, so it's always handy to have it. And then the last thing would be just having some needles for hand stitching, because in many projects, especially when you're, for example, doing a bags or something with a lining, you will have to hand stitch towards the very end of it, so I definitely recommend having a set or a few of these that you can use. And that's all that you need to get started.